the odd couple. Let's go back to the NBA. And James Harden, and this happened last week while I was on vacation, but I want to get to it. James Harden is in China. I don't know if he's still there, but he was in China, probably still is. Obviously touring, probably for Adidas. And no love lost between him and Daryl Morey. Here he is.
Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of again.
Rob, when I first heard that, obviously my first thought is, okay, he really backed himself into a corner. Saying I will never be a part of that organization he's in is saying, like, you're not going to play for the Sixers, but where you playing? So that was my first thought. But my second thought was this. Because I thought that, okay, Harden, by calling Morey a liar, what he's talking about is when he took a $14 million less last year than he could have gotten so that the Sixers could sign P.J. Tucker and Daniel House. I thought, okay, he's referring to a private agreement that he and Morey made, which is illegal. But that basically saying Morey was like, look, take this pay cut. We'll take care of you and make up for it when we renegotiate your deal in the future. That's what I thought he was referring to. But it comes out today that the NBA launched an investigation. So they were curious too, Rob G. They were like, okay, is that what, did they have a secret agreement, which is against our rules? Well, it turns out that Harden spoke to these investigators, and today it was reported that what he meant was that Morey told him right after his trade request this summer that he would trade him quickly. And that is why Harden's calling him a liar, because he didn't trade him quickly, obviously. That is ridiculous. Now, when the first thought, Rob G, about Morey had, promised him that he was going to make up the money to him and didn't, even as I realized Harden had no leverage, my thought, Rob G, was, you know what? I get it as a man. If this dude lied to your face and cost you $14 million, then I get why you upset. It doesn't help you out in your situation, but I get why you had to call him out. But now, when that wasn't the case, this was just foolishness. This was just emotions run amok. The only thing, Rob G, that I can make sense of this with, because he has no leverage, and we'll get into that a little later, but the only way this makes sense is if Harden is pulling his favorite play from the playbook. The play that worked in Houston and got him to Brooklyn. The play that worked in Brooklyn and got him to Philly. Scorched earth. I'm going scorched earth. I'm crazy. I'm a madman. This was the verbal equivalent of the fat suit in Houston. This was, I am going to make it so hellish in Philadelphia that they won't have any choice but to trade me. That's all I can think of that he's doing, because nothing else makes sense.
Chris, you know how they say that your favorite player, let's say Kyrie Irving, his bag is so deep, and that's why people appreciate him?
Yes.
James Harden trade demand bag is so deep, we need to start mentioning it alongside some of the other great bags in NBA
He's
history.
the notorious B.I.G. of trade.
Yes,
bags.
he is. I mean,
skills to pay the bills,
and you know
to say the least.
What's funny is the trade demands, the fat suit, now this one publicly shaming your team president, like that's well documented. People don't even know that last week Kevin McHale did an interview with, I believe, Heavy.com. And he's like, no, he got me fired too on purpose, because he just showed up out of shape and decided he wasn't going to try hard to start the season because he knew that would lead to me getting fired. Like, what James Harden wants, James Harden usually gets. And say what you want about him and whether or not you agree or disagree with his methods, he has a plan and he's executing it. Now,
So you think the plan is when he shows up, you think this is scorched earth?
Yes. No, I think it's going to get worse, to be honest.
Well,
with you.
let me say this quickly, paint the picture.
Okay.
And then you can go ahead and tell me what you think's going to happen at training camp. Because the rules are, if he misses 30 straight days of camp, let's say he doesn't show up at camp, then the team could keep him from becoming a free agent the following season. So he can't, like, you know what? I'm not playing this year for the Sixers. I'll wait until next year when I become a free agent. I'll go play in China and then become a free agent next season. He can't do that. The best thing for him to do, and you're going to give me your opinion on scorched earth, but I think what he should do, he's got to swallow his pride, even if inside he is ticked off still at Daryl Morey, and I get it. Publicly, he's got to put on a different face. Whether that's just saying, you know what, look, I'm a professional. And also you can throw him, Joel's my boy. And I want to win a championship for myself. And I want to win it for Joel as much as I want to win it for myself. Tobias and Tyrese, we got a squad, man. I love what Nick Nurse is putting together. He's a championship coach. I'm coming back. Look, Daryl and I, it's not what it used to be. But, hey, I'm a professional first. I'm coming to win. If he were to do that, play ball out, play well in the playoffs, maybe they get to the conference finals or whatever, then he is now a team might want to bring him on next year. Or maybe if he plays well, a team would trade for him before the deadline. But that's all he's got other than, I guess, what you think, scorched earth.
Chris, everything that you said is 1,000% what somebody of a sane professional basketball mind would do. What in the last 4 years make you think that James Harden operates like that?
Nada.
Nothing. So if let's take the fat suit off the table, he's not going to do that, right? Because that's been done before. You don't do the same gag twice. He has to show up because, like you said, otherwise he forfeits the money. So what could he possibly do that's going to get himself traded with the quickness? I got a couple of ideas. He could go full Ben Simmons and just say, my back hurts. I can't play. Right. I'm sorry. Good luck proving that. I think he's done it before with a hamstring. I think he did that in Houston.
That was a long ham. Well, yeah, and in Brooklyn he
and
was
then
hurt.
Brooklyn he actually hurt his
fake,
hamstring.
But yeah.
He could go Ben Simmons again. People forget about this one. Ben Simmons went to practice with the cell phone in his pocket, and he was checking it during scrimmages or during team drills. He could do that one. He could show up and just publicly criticize, or amongst the team, every player not named Joel Embiid or the entire coaching staff. He could decide that when he does go to practice, and let's say he does want to compete just because, he likes basketball, he could go full Jimmy Butler and say, I'm not going to play on the first team. I'm going to be teaming up with Furkman Korkmaz, and he and I are going to run a two-man game that's going to obliterate Tobias Harris and PJ Tucker. There are so many different avenues that he could take that would lead to him getting out of town.
Would it, though?
Yes.
Because we've seen him destroy, leave in ruins, wreck, pulverize 3 franchises now. 2 of them that were contenders. Why is a team, if I'm running a team, am I going to sign up for that? When Daryl Morey will drive a hard bargain and make me give up something of value? I mean, this isn't the James Harden of 4 years ago, and not to mention his playoff issues.
Right.
I mean, I hear you, and he might do that. And maybe it will work. But I think what Daryl Morey would maybe more likely do, all right, James, you can go ahead, go away. Don't call us, we'll call you when we have a trade for you. And Harden is just sitting out a la John Wall. Remember that?
Yes.
He never recovered. And here's the thing. Again, let's put yourself in a president or GM position. If James Harden were to sit out the bulk of this season, if not all of it, or if James Harden were, sit out, meaning the team said, just stay away, you'll get your money, just stay away. Or if he fakes injury, or if he goes crazy and does some of the stunts you mentioned, and you're trying to win a championship, are you signing up for that? Are you giving up value for that?
No.
Especially when half the time he doesn't even get it done in the playoffs.
There is a select group of teams. I have a hard pressed to name them, but two of them would be the LA teams where they could use a guy like James Harden to be an innings eater, to compare it in baseball.
But Daryl Morey's not going to just give him up for chump
But
change.
here's the thing. The longer he lets this play out and gets nothing in return for him, because I believe the price is going to go down the longer and longer this plays out. It's already low. It's going to be $3.99 here in a second. But the longer this drowns on and the Sixers are, because who's to say how good they can be when they lose their second leading scorer and top assist man for nothing, basically.
Well, you make a good, interesting point. Let me ask you this. I actually think that the Sixers could go just as far without James Harden and nothing else as they could with him. I mean, are they getting past the second round with him?
No. History says no.
Put the ball in Tyrese Maxey's hands. Tobias is a good third option, and Embiid is Embiid.
Embiid will let you down
Good
in the
coach,
playoffs.
role players, right? Like, I'm just saying, like, that's the thing. Harden, I like James. But he has made some decisions. Rob G, he should have stayed in Brooklyn. That team had a shot. I don't know that they would have won it. I'm just saying they had a shot. And luckily he's toward the end of his career, so I don't think he can ruin it like Dwight does to some degree. But this is just getting ridiculous, man.
Yeah, well, whatever they decide, the reason why I believe that the clock is ticking, that they got to do something, is, again, because the longer you draw this out, the more the focus shifts away from James Harden and towards Joel Embiid.